welcome to Center's Agent. Welcome to Center's Agent. Welcome and welcome back to Matching Baby. I've been reading okay, first of all, not only have I been reading, but I've also been very, very busy. For this past month, oh my goodness, I had to, last weekend was my family reunion. I might put in a few clips to show you all how that went. That was so much fun. So last weekend was our family reunion, and up until that point, I had to take a few days to just get things in order and do my hair too. I put some, I don't know if you can see it so well. Let me get up and show you a little bit. I put these knotless braids in. I really, 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 really like them. This was my second time putting in some knotless braids. One of my younger girlfriends, like a little sis of mine, she helped teach me how to do it, because I could not get the concept of doing the knotless braids before her, but she was there for me and she helped me get it together and taught me how to add the hair and braid it tight, and so they turned out pretty well. So I think that these knotless braids might be like my little go-to hairstyle for the summer, because it's too hot to have my hair all over my head. So now, I didn't bring out the perfume because I don't feel like no perfume out here, and bugs and whatnot getting me right now. It's pretty comfortable. I'm in the shade, so I don't feel like any mosquitoes. So I read a total of about 6 books over the past month or so, and most of them were Brandon Massey books. So he has been like my new thriller go-to for the past couple of months. Oh my goodness. Let me see. Where's my... All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the 2 books that were not Brandon Massey books, and then I'm just going to talk about all of the Brandon Massey books. So the 2 books that were not Brandon Massey books, one was a John Mars book called Keep It in the Family, and the other was a book by another author, A.S.A. Harrison, called The Silent Wife. So the first book by John Mars, and I've got I laid my coffee over there. I think I left my coffee over there, but I've got water. I've got water because it is very, very hot out. Not very, very, it's nice actually, but it's hot enough to have some nice cold water. So, here we go. Okay. I don't want it to fall over. Well, I guess I'll just keep it over. Because if it falls over, I'm going to be done. Okay, so Keep It in the Family by John Mars, I gave it 4 stars, and the blurb is, in this chilling novel from best-selling author John Mars, a young couple's house holds terrible secrets, and not all of them are confined to the past. Mia and Finn are busy turning a derelict house into their dream home when Mia unexpectedly falls pregnant. But just when they think the house is ready, Mia discovers a chilling message scored into a skirting board. I will save them from the attic. Following the clue up into the eaves, the couple makes a gruesome discovery. Their dream home was once a house of horrors. In the wake of their traumatic discovery, the baby arrives and Mia can't shake her fixation with the monstrous crimes that happened right above them. Haunted by the terrible things she saw and desperate to find answers, her obsession pulls her ever further from her husband. Secrecy shrouds the mystery of the attic, but when shards of a dark truth start to emerge, Mia realizes the danger is terrifyingly present. She is prepared to do anything to protect her family. But is it already too late? So like I said, I gave this one 4 stars. I said it was okay. I didn't really do a deep review of it, just something quick. I said this was really dark for my taste, but it was still a good story. The twist still twisted my Twizzler. And what I will say is to read the trigger warnings. I said I said go into this one knowing what you're getting into. I almost didn't finish this book because of the subject matter, but it was good, so I stuck it out. Definitely not my favorite by John Mars, but I still enjoyed it, so I gave it 4 stars. Then the other book, next I have The Silent Wife, and what I learned about this author, A.S.A. Harrison, is that this was her debut novel, so she did a really good job for this to be her debut. So the synopsis is a chilling psychological thriller portraying the disintegration of a relationship down to the deadliest point when murdering your husband suddenly makes perfect sense. Todd Gilbert and Jody Brett are in a bad place in their relationship. They've been together for 28 years, and with no children to worry about, there has been little to disrupt their affluent Chicago lifestyle. But there has also been little to hold it together. And beneath the surface lie ever-widening cracks. He is a committed cheater. She lives and breathes denial. He exists in dual worlds. She likes to settle scores. He decides to play for keeps. She has nothing left to lose. When it becomes clear that their precarious world could disintegrate at any moment, Jody knows she stands to lose everything. It's only now she can discover just how much she's truly capable of. This was good. I gave it 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I love a good regular house stuff book. Domestic thriller at its best. Todd is a husband, and he has cheated on his wife with his best friend's daughter and got the tramp pregnant. And he put Jody out of their house and pretty much leaving her destitute. And so now she's like, yeah, he's got to go. So Todd's chapters are juicier and more interesting than Jody's just because he's an utterly deplorable person. But hers are also still good. They do like interchangeable chapters between his perspective and her perspective every other chapter. I said I like the everyday domesticity of her chapters. I said that's what made what she did still so jarring, because where did this person come from all of a sudden? The twist was twisting too. So it's not just what we obviously know that she turns into a killer, but two, you have to stick with the story because it's not as it seems. It's really good. I really enjoy it. I gave it 5 stars. So now for the Brandon Massey books. But before I get into that, I'm gonna go and get my glasses really quick. Oh. Getting out of that thing is a workout. Okay, as usual, glasses are gotten. I always gotta go and get my daggone glasses. So now I want to talk about Brandon Massey because he has been the best. He has been so much fun to read and enjoy. So Brandon Massey, I'm gonna read a little bit of his Wikipedia. He's actually been out since like the early 2000s, and he's come out with a book almost every year. Oh, now I left my drink. Hold on. Yes, he has come out with a new book almost every year since like the year since like 1999, the early 2000s. So he's got a great roster of books, and so many of them are good. So here we go. On Brandon Massey, I said Brandon Massey is the thriller author that the Black literary community needs. I said I have been on reading him like I was last year with Adele Parks when I was a freedom reader. I said, and it was needed. Black authors are pretty rare in thriller and horror. And I said, and that needs to change because lots of thrilling things happen to black people. We might not mess around too much with the horror aspects of it and whatnot, but thrills, running for your life, I love it. And I love it when black characters are involved. It's so cute. So, let me see. It says, Brandon Massey was born June 9th, 1973. He is an American author of thriller fiction specializing in the horror and suspense genres. He is the author of several published novels, short story collections, and is the editor of 3 anthologies. Massey lives with his family near Atlanta, Georgia. He is a winner of the Gold Pen Award for Best Thriller from the Black Writers Alliance. He was born in Waukegan, Illinois, and grew up in Zion, which is a suburb of Chicago. I like what it says that many of Massey's works are set in and around Atlanta, Georgia, and in the South, which makes it really interesting too. His novels frequently incorporate elements of horror, suspense, and the supernatural. Massey's stories involve contemporary African American life in both urban and Southern Gothic settings. He says, I became addicted to that adrenaline rush that you get when you're watching a horror movie or reading a chilling novel. And when I got serious about writing, I was drawn to create these kinds of stories, to experience the rush and share it with others. And that is that rush is really interesting because that thrill of the twist and of how well it's written is also a rush for the reader too. That's what makes reading so entertaining and so fun because it really is thrilling when it's well written. So, I like that too. He has his own publishing company, Dark Corner Publishing, which is his own independent publishing company based in Atlanta. That's nice. So, then I went on to say that I've been secretly comparing him to Stephen King and Dean Koontz. And he's given them, everybody is really good. They're all really good. They're all special and different, and they're all in their own way. I like him uniquely because his characters are black, and so that's very appealing to me. And I also said that what I like about his books is that we get a lot of the black male perspective on a more domestic life, like love life, husbandry, fatherhood, and the like. And I enjoy getting that perspective. I said he's also really good at writing and developing his characters and giving them a good story arc. They're usually not the same people that they start off as in the beginning of the book that they end up as, which is good. That's a good, a well-written story. We want kind of to expect that, maybe. I don't know. But I said, one of my favorite things about reading is that I get to experience different people's life perspectives, locations, and experiences. So I like that about Brandon's thrillers, that I get to get into the mind and heart of the black male a little bit on a softer, more domestic level, and not necessarily on a street thug, kingpin level. All of his books I've listened to so far, they move along like movies. They're so fun and easy to envision in my mind. It's some of the best characters I've read in recent history. So I'm going to talk about a lot of my favorite characters in his books. And I will also say that he has a good way of writing men's stupid circumstances and the justifications as to how they always somehow wind up in some old other, what's the word I want to use, a good word, in some old other badge. You know how men always say, well, it was a mistake, I didn't mean to cheat. Well, he writes mistakenly cheating really well. women be like, I don't understand. Would you do trip and fall into something? Well, in a Brandon Massey book, he probably did, sis. The way circumstances would not be working out for these men, then he probably did fall right into some, because it always winds up that way, and it's hilarious. Then, let me see. So at the end of all of the books, the 4 books that I have, I will rank them from my most favorite to my least most favorite, because they were all top tier. I can't even say a particular one that I didn't like. I liked them all. They were great. So that's what I'll do. So let me see. Yeah, there's just, I'm so sorry for the noise if you hear too much. I might maybe get up and move out front, because they might start doing the most. Goodness. So the first book that I'm going to talk about by him, delete everything that I've talked about so far so that I can keep track and order to it and not lose track of myself. Okay, first book I'm going to talk about by him is Nana. As usual. But Nana by Brandon Massey, I gave it 5 stars. It says, missing for her daughter's entire life, Grace now wants to be called Nana. And that's not all she wants. From award-winning suspense author Brandon Massey comes an explosive suspense thriller of domestic drama and shocking secrets, guaranteed to keep you reading late into the night. Monica Stevens never knew her birth mother. Raised by a strict but loving adoptive parent, she blossomed into a woman with a loving career as a pediatrician and a family of her own. But sometimes she wonders about her origins, especially her biological mother, until Grace arrives, confessing to be the birth mother Monica had long wanted to meet. Grace quickly becomes an indispensable member of the Stevens household, cooking their meals, looking after the children, comforting Monica. I'm going to have to go out front, because now they who's cutting right. Let's go out front. It'll be much quieter out front. Oh my goodness. This is annoying. They just keep starting all kinds of stuff. Okay, look, check this out. I do not have a quiet little quaint neighborhood. I don't have a peaceful place to record right now. This is crazy. I mean, listen. Oh my goodness. So what I did was I brought you closer to me, and hopefully if I speak loud enough you can hear me. I just don't have the space right now to record in the house with everything else going on. Oh my goodness. This is crazy. But it's okay. So, honey, what you gonna get is the hood. I don't have no quiet, quaint neighborhood. I got the hood for you. So you gonna get some noise, some little background noise, some drilling and mowing, and hopefully you can hear me and you can just bear with me. We can just be outside and talk about these daggone books. It's okay. We're gonna move along and move around. So, back to what I was saying about Brandon Massey. Okay, so I will read the blurb one more time because I didn't get through it. Okay, so Nana by Brandon Massey. It says Monica Stevens never knew her birth mother. Raised by a strict but loving adoptive parent, she blossoms into a woman with a thriving career as a pediatrician and a family of her own. But sometimes she wondered about her origins, especially her biological mother, until Grace arrives, confessing to be the birth mother Monica had long wanted to meet. Grace quickly becomes an indispensable member of the Stevens household, cooking their meals, looking after the children, comforting Monica when the family dog is inexplicably killed, tending to Monica as she falls ill to a mysterious sickness that every day makes Monica look and feel older. Meanwhile, Grace is looking better. More vibrant, more youthful, more seductive. Monica's husband, Troy, knows something is up. He launches an investigation into the woman who demands to be called Nana and has taken over his home. But the truth is beyond their wildest imaginings. It seems Grace has done this before. A stay-up all-night read for fans of domestic thrillers and suspense novels. Grab your copy of this shocking supernatural thriller today. And I did. Definitely got my copy on. It was so good. I said I couldn't put it down. I gave it 5 stars. It was entertaining all the way through. All of Brandon's books have been so far. We have to talk about the characters because they are the cream of the crop in his books, and especially this one. Troy is Monica's husband, and he is suspicious of Grace right off the bat. But he also recognizes that she's hot. Hot cougar sex bot. But Troy and his mom, Pat, are like onto her too. Like she a little too sexy, a little too much of a vibe to be somebody's Nana. Now Monica, in the opening of the book, has lost her grandmother Lily, the woman who adopted and raised her. Lily dies in the very beginning of the book, so we're introduced to Monica at this time as she's wounded and reeling from this unfortunate event in her life. It's just not a good time for her right now, and we see just why she is so vulnerable and how it's so easy for her to allow Grace to come into their lives and wreak the havoc that she does. From the opening scene of the book, we as readers know that Grace's intentions are not good, but Monica was being so frustratingly naive because she had never known her birth mother and was very, very unhealed in that area. And so Grace was able to play on that to her advantage and very easily claim to be Monica's birth mother. And she just shows up at Lily's funeral out of nowhere after abandoning Monica for 40 years. And Monica wasn't like a hubba, who this woman? She had no questions. She had no issues, no qualms, no where you been for 40 years, no nothing. She was just like, oh yay. And that in of itself was odd. Because where did she come from all of a sudden after 40 years? And Monica just welcomes this stranger back into her life with stupidly open arms and no questions asked. Speaking of Grace, baby, she was the one. She was the mother flipping one. I thought Leah from Prada Plan was the book villainous girly. But more than her, I was sadly mistaken, because more than her, it was Grace. As said, as soon as she stepped onto the scene, she just slithered her way out of the woodworks. First of all, at the creepiest time that she could have. That was suspicious to me. Like, and I don't see how in the world it wasn't suspicious to Monica that out of all times for this lady to pop back up after 40 years, you pop back up at my grandmother's funeral. just, like I said, she just slithered her way into their life. And it was just the weirdest thing. And I'm using that word literally and figuratively in this case with her. It was giving a sexy older cougar honey cat. And she had no qualms about it. And I was here for all of it. And I loved her. And so as she gets, after she gets there, right, Monica starts to age very rapidly, like a banana, honey. And all the while, Grace is getting finer and finer by the day. And it was so horrific and creepy. How just the descriptions of it, it was how fast it happened. Oh my goodness. And this, she was just being so silly. Monica was being so silly that she couldn't put two and two together, that her health was directly related to whatever it was that Grace was doing and giving to her. It was so sad, but also entertaining. And let me just say real quick that Grace has this 5-foot-long tongue that she be using. And then there's this scene between her and Troy with that tongue, and I'ma just leave it at that, because it was a whole lot. But it was so entertaining. I enjoyed that book. 5 out of 5 stars. Now, the only thing that kind of got on my nerves a little teeny bit that I wish that he would have expounded on was the fact that Monica has 7 sisters. So Grace had 7 other daughters that she kind of did similar things to. And I wanted to know more of their backstory, something behind them. I wish that he would have maybe did a chapter, you know, where Monica gets to speak to the sisters and gets a little more closure to her story about what Grace actually put them through over time. Because Grace, it was a lot. I just wish that he would have written a little bit more about their story, the 7 sisters, the other daughters. I wanted to have a little more backstory about them. But it was a great book. 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, so now the exes. I've got water. I've got coffee, because I needed it all. I needed a little bit of everything. I needed to wake up. I needed to hydrate. It's so hot out here. Yes. Okay. The exes. Divorce can be deadly. 7 years ago, Austin Dash's dangerously jealous wife, Naomi, nearly stabbed him to death. An act that landed her in prison. Freed from her influence, Austin files for divorce and took their young son to Atlanta for a fresh start. He established his own business and met the loving, gentle-hearted Brooke. Swept up in a charmed romance, they marry and prepare to welcome a new baby into their lives. But memories of Naomi haunt Austin's nightmares. And now she's back. Recently released from prison, Naomi has won to reunite her family. She'll do whatever it takes to bring Austin and their son back home. And she's got plenty of help. Her mother, her sister, and her father. The whole tribe of Austin's ex-in-laws, who might be as treacherous as Naomi. But Austin and Brooke, with their new family on the line, won't give up without a fight. A riveting suspense thriller, guaranteed to grab you on the first page and hold you to the gut-wrenching end. The Exes is Brandon Massey at his thrilling best. Click buy now and get your copy of The Exes today. And again, I did. Definitely got it. So, I gave it 5 stars. I enjoyed this read from the start to the finish again. It was so good. Brandon Massey has quickly become one of my favorite thriller authors. This was such a good story of an abused and stalked man. Brandon really writes male victim characters well, and I haven't read a lot of thrillers told from the perspective of the male being turned every way but loose by his female partner. But I'm here for it. It's a good way to get, again, different thoughts and perspectives on life, on different things in life, especially concerning men. For me, this was a very fast-paced read. Maybe the first 30 minutes or so were slow, but past that it was fast, furious, and fun. I always like to talk about the characters without giving too much of the plot or story away. Austin was a mess, but he tried. I'll give his ass that. He was just a single father trying to start his life over after a horrific experience happened to him with a crazy woman. He doesn't seem like a very confident man, and he is very wimpy, but that's understandable at this juncture in his life, being as though he's had a very close brush with death. There was a quote in the book: when you marry someone, you marry their entire family, which is so true. Marriage is serious work, and everything and everyone involved becomes a factor. Uncles, aunts, grandparents, other in-laws have to be considered, because in this book, Naomi and her entire backwoods hillbilly hick clan family was crazy. Austin, her ex-husband, is very passive and mellow, and Naomi takes advantage of that. This book was very good and scary in a more real-life, realistic way than Nana. There was no supernatural elements. There were just nutcases, crazy people, which was enjoyable because we get to see why Naomi is the way that she is and the people that grew her. So with that being said, not only is Naomi the main antagonist, but her entire family helps and adds an added layer of threat to the story. Again, with this story, we have some good reading about a black male being the victim of domestic abuse, a perspective that isn't given in most media. Most media has the male as the perpetrator of domestic abuse. But this happens in life also. Women can be crazy, abusive, and evil. Naomi felt so real. Naomi and her family all sounded and felt like cases that I've heard about before over the years. I understood Austin's trauma and that he was around domestic abuse as his mother was a victim. I understood Austin's trauma that he has around domestic abuse as his mother was a victim of it. So he vowed never to strike a woman, not even in self-defense. But this book was a great lesson in we attract what we are and not what we want. It serves the perfect example to me of how subconsciously unhealed people tend to perpetuate and attract the unhealed childhoods and environments and spirits that we're used to, not what we want. The psychological pathology of abuse was still passed down as an experience to have by Austin being on the receiving end of the abuse, because he was already subconsciously, mentally, and emotionally used to that type of emotional chaos in his life. So I don't think he ever really properly dealt with it, and that's what got him still in a circumstance to abuse, or to be abused, or to have that in his experience at all. I don't know. Kari is Naomi and Austin's son, and he was the worst. He was an irritating kid, but he was also pretty typical, thinking that the parent that isn't there is the favorable parent. I've seen that scenario play out so many times in life, especially when they don't know the truth of the circumstances of everything involved. Kari needed a good switch. A good switching to. And a really good talking to, because he was a whole lot. I ain't trying to hit. 5 out of 5 stars. Really good book. Next, I have Within the Shadows by Brandon Massey. Be careful what you wish for. I had so much fun reading these. It says, at just 31, Andrew Wilson has it all. Close friends, a great house in an Atlanta suburb, and a successful career as a mystery writer. Only one thing is missing, a special person to share it with. Then one day, he meets someone new, a woman who seems almost too good to be true. Beautiful, smart, and sophisticated, Mika Woods is everything that Andrew has ever wanted and more, at first. After one night,
I'm gonna throw some peanuts over there, okay?
Okay.
I don't want you to get scared.
All right. Beautiful, smart, and sophisticated, Mika Woods is everything that Andrew has ever wanted and more, at first. After one night of passion, Andrew soon discovers that Mika isn't quite who she appears to be. or even what she appears to be. But it's too late to turn back. Mika has been waiting a lifetime for a man like Andrew. And what she wants, what she desires, she will have no matter who has to die. Mika. Honey. I said Nana was Sugar Cat and Mika was Honey Cat. I said Andrew is a little more complicated and complex of a character than the rest of them. This book was the perfect blend of real life horror, a crazy stalker woman, with the supernatural elements, making it more of a supernatural thriller. We have Andrew, his dad Raymond, his best friend Carmen, and his other best friend, I forget his name. He was pretty irrelevant. I said, but certainly, and last but certainly not least, we have Mika, and Mika is Honey Cat. I said Grace from, I said, and Mika was Sugar Cat. Here we go. I said Grace from Nana was Cougar Honey Cat. But Mika was fast and hot with the Sugar Cat, and it was so funny. She was crazy, but I liked her backstory and her lore. That's what I kind of wished would have happened. That's how I kind of wish that Brandon had handled the Seven Sisters and Nana, with just maybe a chapter of some sort of backstory with them from the 40 years of absenteeism Grace had put Monica through. I wish we knew a little bit more of what she was doing during that time involving her 7 other daughters from Nana. I said, but my girl from this story was Carmen. At first, I didn't like Carmen, but she grew on me. The only time I was ever on Mika's side was in the beginning of her and Andrew's relationship, when she asked about what the nature of his relationship with Carmen would be. I wanted to know the same. And she was like, well, if she's pretty, single, and already your best friend, then why aren't you with her? Valid. That's a valid and warranted question. Past that, though. I was not on that girl's side about nothing. She was absolutely tripping for the rest of the book. But Andrew's dad was another one of my favorite characters in this book. Bless his heart. I said he really died trying, and he really put forth an explosive, valiant effort at the end of everything. But good for him. Better late than never, I guess. What I took from the domestic side of this book was on fatherhood and how intimidating and scary it can be for some men who are afraid of failing at fatherhood, afraid of messing a kid up. Some men are so afraid of messing up that they end up messing up because they're afraid of messing up. I said, child, I guess every parent has those fears, but you still don't get to walk away for a kid's life just because you're scared about messing up. I said, it still sounds like excuses to me, but he was a great character and it was a great redemption arc, and I really liked him. 5 out of 5 stars for this book. I said my favorite quote from this book came from one of Carmen's thoughts, and she said, years of dating had taught her a painful lesson. Never assume anything with a man. Don't think that just because he calls you every day as if you were his woman, that you really are his woman. Don't believe that if he showered you with attention as if you were the most special woman on earth, meant that he viewed you as any more special than the woman he'd seen the night before. Don't presume that making love to a man meant that he has any love for you. And so I like that quote. That was an interesting quote. And then also the last thing I want to say about this book is that it has cats in it. Russian blue cats. And they're portrayed as evil. And I don't necessarily like it when cats are portrayed as evil in media, because I had the same thoughts with Pet Sematary when I read Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I don't like it when they make cats evil, because that just perpetuates stupid myths about kitty cats, and people be just thinking that they're evil for no daggone reason, and I don't like that. But that was my only critique. Still 5 out of 5 stars. Oh my goodness, I'm almost done. We are almost done. This is the last book by him, Bad Influence, by Brandon Massey, a psychological thriller. I gave this one 4 stars, and I'll tell you why I knocked the star off in the end. A toxic friendship plunges a family into chaos in an explosive new psychological thriller by the best-selling author of The Landlord and the Exes. I'm gonna yell. Goodness. But you know what? It's okay. You're gonna get a little chaos over here with me. Just a little chaos. And it's gonna be fun. After 15 years of marriage, Adrian and Steph Wall's relationship is in crisis, but their troubles multiply when their teenage daughter falls under the spell of Scarlett, a charismatic teen with a knack for shoplifting, joyriding, and secretly triggering tragic accidents. Steph worries from the start about Scarlett's negative influence on their daughter, but when Adrian discovers the girl's connection to a powerful figure who can make or break his career, he's torn between ambition and protecting his family from Scarlett's growing menace. As danger escalates and lies unravel, the Walls must confront their deepest fears and darkest secrets to save their family. Can they become the sinister forces threatening to rip them apart, or will bad influences destroy their family forever? A pulse-pounding drama of betrayal, redemption, and the harrowing depths of familial bonds tested to the limits. Bad influence will keep you on the edge of your seat until the final heart-stopping revelation. It was so good. So this book, this little girl, Scarlett, was in here. She was given, if you remember the movie Poison Ivy that had Drew Barrymore in it, and The Crush. Listen, I said Scarlett was a more believable child villain because not only is she highly intelligent with a very high IQ, but she's also about 14 years old. I don't know. I said her age made her a more likable villainess than, let's just say, the evil kid, the evil baby kid and baby teeth. I said she was giving more of the movie girlies, Poison Ivy with Drew Barrymore, or Adrian from The Crush, played by Alicia Silverstone, or even Winter from The Coldest Winter Ever. Somebody else said Henry from The Good Son. And I can see all of them because that little girl was a mess. The whole book, she had me, where's my belt? She need a switch. She had me wanting to switch her. I was like, she is terrible. The whole book, she needed a switch and a therapy session. I said, I just could not believe how much that little girl's family coddled and ignored glaring red flags with the child, even when just the stuff wasn't adding up. Even when the math wasn't math, and they still never held her accountable for any of it. And I couldn't understand for the life of me why. Besides to think that maybe she has some sort of hold on them too, using something against them to maybe make them do what she says. Her family, like her father and her mother. Harper was just a special kind of child. She was very similar in spirit to Kari from the Exes, in that they're both very naive and annoying to that degree. In their naivety, that they really have no idea of just how much danger they really are putting themselves and their families in. Therapy and a switch. And Steph will be the one to give it to Harper. Yeah, she was the mother to not be played with. I like how, for all the ways that Adrian fell short in protecting Harper and herself, really, honestly, too. For all the ways that Adrian fell short in protecting Harper, Steph stepped up to pick up the slack, and she was so good. She reminded me a lot of Brooke and the Exes. I said the only thing that irritated me in this book was, why did he let that little girl go at the end? Like, when he knocked her out, so this is a spoiler, I'm sorry, total spoiler, I'll put it in here, this is a spoiler, but at the end, he knocked her out, and then he just let her body float away. Why? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you keep her right there so that she could pay, because the cops was on their way? She needed to pay for what she had did. Hey, you scared the hell out of me! Oh my goodness! I'm recording a video. Where did you come from? Oh my God! Let me go. That's it. You know, it just the whole time, just everything has been hating on me. So I'ma just go ahead on and wrap this up, and I will catch y'all next time.